Most of us believe that if you hold elections, you automatically get democracy. But is this true? History shows that elections do not always create democracies. They can even bring dictators to power. For 3,000 years, humans have been experimenting with democracy. But elections only entered the game some 200 years ago, with the American and French revolutions. So what was there before? The answer is surprising. Lottery, or sortition, to use the technical term. Here is what Aristotle had to say. The appointment of magistrates by lot is democratical, and the election of them oligarchical, or aristocratic. Of the 7,000 public functions in ancient Athens, only 100 were elected. All the rest were assigned by lot. Even if only 3 adult men could be drafted, the range of tasks given to them was impressive. The system was based on 3 principles. If you draft people by lot, you get everyday people in government. If you give them time and information, they find solutions that work. And if you do it often, more and more people get involved. This system worked. It increased public trust, it diminished corruption, and it fostered long-term thinking. Sortition was continued in many Renaissance states, ensuring centuries of peace and prosperity. Rousseau and Montesquieu, the great philosophers of the 18th century, agreed with Aristotle. Drafting people by lot was democratic, electing them was aristocratic. Yet why then were elections favored right after the revolution? The answer is shocking, because those who took power in America and France were against democracy. They feared the rule of the mob. Elections were not introduced to make democracy possible, but to stop democracy. Only very few people could vote, even less could run for office. Elections had to create a new elite, a natural aristocracy as Thomas Jefferson called it. Power had to remain in the hands of a minority. In the 19th and 20th century, more and more people obtained the right to vote and run for office. This was a necessary improvement, but in the 21st century, it's no longer sufficient. Today, many people feel that ticking a box every 4 or 5 years is simply not enough. They still don't feel heard. That's why distrust is rising at an alarming rate. What if people were not only given the right to vote, but also a right to speak? What if we had sortition next to elections? Going back to lottery sounds crazy, but we're using it already every day. We call it opinion polls. The only problem is, polls ask us what we think when we don't think. What if we had a chance to think and discuss with others first? And what if politicians listened then? We urgently need to democratize democracy. We ought to be against elections if democracy is reduced to them. For it's not just about your vote, it's about your voice too.